Hey mamas, just yesterday a mom called me for a consultation, a free consult. So you just go to lizzieLangston.com/consult if you ever want to talk to me on the phone. So we were doing a free 45-minute consult. She's interested in private coaching. She bought the course. Anyway, we're talking and she reveals through such sweet vulnerability that she misses this deep spiritual part of herself that she used to feel closer to. And it got me thinking about you guys and me and all of us, and frankly, just the spiritual realm and how many of us don't even realize how unhealed or how emotionally burdened in our body and in our nervous system we are. And we're missing this profound spiritual realm and a connection with it and within ourselves. We're missing and not being connected with that part of ourselves. And it is a travesty because it's dynamite to our motherhoods, y'all. It is inspiration. It is intuition. It is just this knowingness. It is this guidance that you can be receiving all the time. But the precursor to receiving that and to be connected with your guides, and I mean, they're always there, but to feel them and to have interactions regularly with the other side, the spiritual realm, is to get the energy of all of your chakras flowing, aligned, doing the healing work, unburdening the blockages within your realm, in your body and mind. So this episode is dedicated to you mamas who want to feel more spiritual, who are craving and maybe even sometimes a little scared of that deeper spiritual side of life. This one's for you. I want to go there. I want to tell you about this for me, tell you how I've gotten more into it lately, and guide you to that and let you know that you can come work with me, because this is definitely a huge part of the influence and mentorship that I have on moms when they become my private clients. So let's dive in. Welcome to the Postpartum Coach podcast, where we embrace our needs as moms. We learn to lead ourselves first, then our families, and where we create our own healing from the inside out to find our way to the work we were meant to do in this world. I'm your host, a fellow mom of 3 and a certified life coach, Lizzie Langston. All right, this one is pretty off the cuff. I'm going to go get my kids from school after this, and it also feels really, really needed. I was actually recording a different episode and I couldn't finish it, y'all, because I was drawn to this topic. That happens occasionally. Occasionally I'm like very left-brained organized. Okay, I picked this topic. Let's sit down and record on it. And then other times there's this very spiritual flowage that happens and it's just like, stop and talk about this today, right now. And I'm like, okay. So I feel like I'm really walking the walk when I'm diving into this topic for you all. Okay. First, I want to talk about some myths maybe and the things that we feel scared of. And then I'll talk about when it comes to the spiritual realm and really deeply connecting with that part of ourselves and that part of life. And then I want to talk about blockages and things that keep us from accessing that when we want to access that. So I guess number one blockage is the fear that we have. And I think it's so fascinating. Maybe you don't own up to this. Maybe you're like, no, I'm not afraid of spiritual things. I'm really spiritual. But let me ask you something. Do you stop when you pray, however you pray, whether it's just in your head, on your knees, on a meditation pillow? Are you afraid of the silence? Maybe you're like, no, I'm not afraid of the silence. But do you stop and be silent and wait for things to come through? Angelic messengers sending you messages, feelings and visions and pieces of like information that you need to receive. Have you ever done that? How often do you do that? Do you feel comfortable with the silence? Do you feel comfortable with the idea that there could be somebody in a spirit form really wanting to send you a message that's going to obviously help you? But period, I think there's a lot of Hollywood fear built up around this being a scary experience, right? Having somebody quote from the other side, like wanting to quote talk to you and come through to you. It's like, ooh, like we have this, I don't know, this twisted, unfortunately, very kind of fearful relationship with this idea that we could be a medium, even in a casual way, and regularly have, touch base with ideas, dreams, visions, things that come through on the other side. And yet, a lot of moms are actually craving this right now. I really feel that way. I know that I definitely am feeling satiated the more that I get into this, and I'm also seeking it. I'm also desiring it. I want deeply to have a rhythm and a routine of being connected with angels, with my guides. I fully and completely, 1,000% believe that it's entirely possible and it's our birthright, especially as women, and then double especially as mothers to other little souls growing up on this planet. And yet I'm going to own this and I'm going to share it with you. I've totally been afraid. And I was just talking to one of my clients about this. She knows who she is. We were on Voxer back and forth between sessions. Voxer is just a walkie-talkie app. It's something I talk with my clients on in between their weekly sessions. And she and I were both kind of coming out to each other about how we deeply desire this and also we have fears about it. Now, fear doesn't always come as a feeling. Sometimes it comes as thoughts that poke fun, make fun, or are skeptical of spirituality. So just so you know, skepticism can be a way of protecting ourselves from having deeply spiritual encounters. I was watching a documentary for almost 4 hours, 3.5 hours. I did the math with my son. It's a National Geographic documentary on UFOs on Disney+. It was actually really fascinating, very good. I loved it, riveted, highly recommend. Anyway, we're watching this thing and I didn't realize that a few decades into the whole UFO history that we have in our country, there became this phrase of a close encounter. And there's a close encounter of the first kind, which is like you see a UFO. Then there's a close encounter of the second kind, which is maybe it comes and lands earthside and it's like by you and kind of interacting in some way. And then the third kind would be a little alien or somebody or something from the UFO comes out of the UFO and comes and talks to humankind, right? So there's these encounters of the varying degrees. And I think it's the same with spirituality. And I want you to take inventory for a second and be like, how many of those have I had? And what degree of encounters have I had with the spiritual realm? Personally, I've had all three. I don't want to share details because it feels special and sacred. And also because when I talk about it, I start to have that skepticism like that. It wants to come poke. And so I like to just hold my sacred spiritual moments that I know are very real in my heart because my mind and my ego really feel uncomfortable with them because they don't feel as in control. And my ego's kind of obsessed with control. And so it just wants to shoot down anything that is unknown, where it has to hold the space for I saw something or I felt something or I received something and I don't understand it all the way still to this day. My brain doesn't like that. So I think that's a really key thing that a lot of us one of the reasons we get scared or sort of avoidance can be another way, procrastinate, right? Put it off. You're like, oh yeah, that would be good. Oh yeah, I've wanted to for a long time, but I just keep going in the rhythm of all the things. I stay busy. How many of us, raise your hand. No, I'm just kidding. How many of us though feel more comfortable being scheduled and busy? And I'm not calling you out to like be mean to you. We just want to call it what it is. It's protection. It is self-protecting because there's discomfort in the in-between of going from a busy life, type A personality up in your head to dropped into your body, fully embodied and regularly receiving beautiful intuitions and spiritual encounters of the first, second, and third kind. Okay, now this episode, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help you realize why you're scared, have compassion on you, and notice how some of your behaviors are actually just fear. Maybe you haven't been like identifying as somebody that's scared. Maybe you're like, no, I'm actually really spiritual. Yeah, keep telling yourself that, girl. No, I'm just kidding. No, you probably really are. I'm laughing because I'm like talking to myself while I talk to you. We're all in this together, but I'm being a little sassy because I want to push the envelope. Like one of my favorite spiritual mentors, Gabrielle Bernstein, says, she wants to push the metaphysical envelope today. I want to push it a little today. I want to be like, yeah, why aren't you doing more yoga? Why aren't you saying more prayers? I'm not saying this in like you got to do all the things like from a religious perspective of like, you need to do the checklist of things you're supposed to be doing. This is not the vibe. No, please chuck that out in the garbage, tie it in a bag, never smell it or see it again. I'm talking about this deep craving and inner actual direct connection you have with the other side of things, the spiritual realm, the light world, the light realm. And I'm asking you, what would it take for you to be more willing? Maybe you already are more willing. I bet it's there. I bet you have both. You have a desire to cross into that realm more often, and then you have the stuff that's stopping you. So take it out, mama. Take it out today and look at it. What is stopping you and blocking you, or just kind of conveniently being in the way of you feeling and interacting with more spiritual stuff? Is it the unpleasantness of your own self-doubt? Because whenever you try to be more spiritual, you start doubting and it's really annoying and unpleasant. Here's my suggestion to you, wherever you're at on your journey. I want you to know, or to kind of think about, what is there really to lose? If you go all in and you just decide that you're going to like hyper spiritualize the hell out of your life, and you're just going to be like, that was a sign. Oh, that was that butterfly. Like that was my grandma talking to me, and it doesn't need to be like randomly chaotic. You can think of some basic things. Like for me, I've just decided when my grandma passed away, I decided a butterfly was going to be our thing. And I have had multiple experiences where there really was no reason for a butterfly to be anywhere near me. Like I'm thinking like literally on the subway, right? Or somewhere random. And yet here it comes, bloop, right there. There's also been other experiences where it made total sense. Like I was outside, it was a beautiful day, butterfly. But still, I benefit so much from my signs and beliefs and my connection to the other side. What do you have to lose by being vulnerable with the spiritual realm? And what if, in putting your ego and your sense of wanting control and all of your fears to one side for just a moment, it just takes a moment, right? And then you expand on that moment and it gets bigger and bigger and it turns into a minute and then like half a day, etc. So what if it actually was the thing you needed right now to help you come into yourself and to find yourself again, to help you come out of a trauma response, to help you ground and really feel into who you are meant to be on this planet? So my online course, Postpartum Freedom, it has a ton of tools for anxiety, like literally somatic tools I've learned from in therapy and coaching and shamans. And it's nervous system and trauma informed. Yes. Amazing. Wonderful. And I don't want you to underestimate. And by the way, my course also has spiritual stuff in it too. So this is why I want you to buy in on this other realm. It's a healing modality. Incredibly. Spirituality, I would say, when it's authentic spirituality, it's not dictated by a religion that you're not feeling aligned with, or even that you are feeling aligned with, but you're basically being told how to do the things. I'm talking about you being stripped down and basically spiritually naked and saying, okay, I'm going to put on an outfit that is my choosing. It's my own. If you were to really start from the basics and build your personalized connection with the divine, and use the words and the language and the philosophies and things that work for you, that resonate on a deep level with your inner sense of truth that your creator or the highest consciousness of this planet has given you and bestowed in your body and mind and spirit. If you were to actually use that thing, turn that thing on, power up, and start really searching each day, making each day like a puzzle where you're putting pieces together, what would you find? Sometimes I wonder, friends, you guys, mamas, us, all of us, me too. Sometimes I wonder if that isn't exactly what we need right now. There's so many tools. There's so many things you can find on the internet. What I love about my course is it puts the stuff in order of priority and what's going to help you. So you've got calm your body, calm your mind, calm your life, and woven throughout of it, that's not really a phrase, woven throughout it is my spiritual yumminess and juiciness, and it can't help but rub off on you. I want you to know some things that I believe about you. I believe that you are profoundly spiritual at your core. And I believe that a lot of us women and moms, before we were even aware of this healing work, healing ourselves, like in our 20s and 30s, when you were really little, sometimes there was damage done to our lower chakras, our solar plexus, whatever, sacral chakra, and our root chakra. Okay. And those red, orange, and yellow chakras down low, they often kind of aren't very used. And what happens is as we get older, we tend to gravitate towards talking a lot, over talking in a high-pitched, disconnected voice. I hear it all the time in my clients and on consults. And I don't say it with criticism, but it's just a sign that we're not dwelling in our root. We're not rooted. We don't feel connected to the generations past. Even if there's things that we don't feel happy about or don't agree with ways that things happened in the generations before us, we don't feel that sense of family tie and identity. We haven't done the healing work. We don't feel safe and comfortable in our bodies. We drag around our body day to day. We objectify our body. If you really struggle with body image and you tend to really want to get your body into shape and over control it, and you can't just like be present with it and love it as it is, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to improve the health of your body. But if you feel like your body's more of an object than a friend, then you are probably dissociated to some degree. You probably have root chakra full embodiment issues. And it is definitely interplaying in your motherhood. Here are some of the ways that this shows up in our motherhood. We have a hard time being present. We have a hard time really getting curious about what our children are meaning when they're talking. We have a hard time doing perspective taking and really being slow in our engagements with them and actually being curious and interested in what they're really trying to say or what they mean, or thinking about how their brain is working and what they're experiencing. It's very much this top-down parenting. There's a lot of threats, which I am totally guilty of as well. There are a lot of threats. There are a lot of basically imposing what you want and your belief systems on your child instead of really being still and in awe of the amazing spirituality, presence, and creativity that children come with. Now, this is usually when the mom guilt sets in, and I want you to know you don't need to feel guilty because you're a victim here too. You might not have been given those juicy things, presence and understanding and curiosity from your parents. Likely you were not given those things. And what that does is it sets you on a path of intellectualizing all of the life around you in order to separate yourself, in order to feel safe, and stay up in your thoughts, up in your head. And my gift to the world, I don't know why you guys, I was born with this, well, I actually wasn't born with it. I was actually born with all the things I just told you. Then I went on this journey of having really bad mental health crises, having 3 babies in 4 years, and I was essentially forced into the corner of my healing. But it was the biggest privilege ever, and my life got so light and so happy. Next week, I actually want to share the 7 ways that your life does get lighter and happier when you do this work. Starting with your thoughts, and then your energy, then your relationships, then your responsibilities, your passions, then your fun, and then your joy and pleasure. Those are the 7 areas that will completely change. But first, you have to be willing to say, am I rooted? Spirituality is natural, and it is an interwoven, regular part of your life when you are rooted in your body, when you are not dissociated. Miracles, feeling visions come through, dreams, feeling and knowing that you have a spirit guide talking to you, channeling. Just the other night, I was writing in my journal and this probably seems creepy, but like the pen started to feel different and I let it go and I was receiving a whole conversation from one of my spirit guides. And it was as real as day. It was as real as the tree outside my window blowing around in the wind right now. It was intensely amazing, so private, so personal. I'm like, no, I'm not going to share it, but awesome. I was in awe. And honestly, I left my room after that. It was what time was it? 3:33 in the morning, because I went out of my room, I went into the kitchen and I was just like, seriously, like breathing hard. I'm like, what just happened? Because I had channeled something. I've never done that before. And I asked for a sign. And I was like, so my microwave in my kitchen, after a while, it just shuts off like the clock, the digital clock, just to save energy. It's like conserve energy mode. And so I had to tap it to get it to turn on. But I was like, when I tap this clock, please let it be a sign, like an angel number. My angel numbers are 111, 222, 333, 444, 555, etc. It was literally 333. My guides not only channeled with me and gave me a full conversation, but then went on to wake me up and have me go into the kitchen at the perfect time to be able to send me a sign that it was all real. This sort of stuff happens when you are embodied. You have a whole entire spiritual realm waiting for you to be close to it. And the way you got to be close to it, friend, is you've got to get down into those lower chakras. And the way you get down into those lower chakras is you get out of your head and you get embodied. So the first step to this is buy my online course. Go to lizzieLangston.com/course. This course, I might not explicitly talk about chakras and energy work because some people, it kind of freaks them out. But essentially, that's what we're doing. We're healing your spirit body. Okay? We're healing your spirit body. Anxiety and depression are often just signals that your spirit body and your intellectual mind, they're out of sync. They're not aligned. And we need you to get balanced and rooted in your body, heart, mind, and soul. All of it. Not just in your mind, right? We have over-clinicalized depression and anxiety, especially postpartum. And it is a danger because it leads moms to believe that they just need a pill to make it better. And listen, sometimes that is all you have the bandwidth for. And I am all for it. And I am not shaming medication. I am on an antidepressant right now. I'm kind of weaning off, but I've been on one and it actually did everything I needed it to do. Before I knew about any of this work, my antidepressant after my second baby was all that I knew to heal. And it was enough for a while until my next baby. And I'm so, so profoundly grateful for that because it probably would have really wrecked my life had I tried to get into all these tools without having the knowledge and the space and the support and manifesting all the help around me. But if you're listening to this podcast, friend, you are not in that boat. You are not alone. You have support. I'm like, there's really no reason for you not to dive in. There's no excuses for you to keep putting this off. Do the work. Step into the light of healing yourself, unburdening yourself. And I promise you, life will get juicy. I'm going to share exactly the 7 ways it will get juicy next week, but don't wait for that. Go ahead and go to lizzieLangston.com/course and get the course today. I love you guys all. There's a discount code in the free mini course. So make sure you sign up for the free mini course, Get Out of the Postpartum Rut. And the first email will give you a discount code to my online course. It's so good. Love you all, and let's talk to you next week. Get spiritual, my loves. I want to hear it. Email me. Tell me how it's going. Tell me about your cool experiences. Tell me what this episode inspired you to do. Leave it in one of the written reviews on this podcast. Of course, I will read it. I always read them, and I would be so grateful. Okay, we'll talk next week.
Hey, Lizzie here. I've helped dozens of postpartum moms just like you to manage their postpartum anxiety and deconstruct their postpartum depression. It's really easy for me. So if you're ready to feel better, I know the way. Let's chat on the phone. Set up a time by going to lizzieLangston.com/consult. It's pretty simple, and I will be calling you soon.